Let's talk about motivation. Now, a lot of people struggle with finding the motivation to make whatever change it is that they want to make in their life. Now, that's whether it's to lose weight or clean up their diet or start an exercise program or whatever health goals that you might have. And the question that I hear all the time is, how do I get motivated to do this? And more importantly, how do I stay motivated? How do I stick with it? Because most of us have had that experience of being really committed to something at the beginning, and then somewhere along the way, we just kind of fall off the wagon. We were really excited at first, but we quickly lose that excitement and just kind of stop, which can be really frustrating. And many people will think that there's something wrong with them for not being motivated enough. You might ask yourself, why can't I stick with my plan to go to the gym or to stop ordering takeout or to meditate on a regular basis or whatever it is? So if any of this sounds familiar, then stay tuned because in this video, I'm going to help you. We are going to talk in detail about motivation, and I'm going to give you some very specific steps to make sure that the next change that you want to make in your lifestyle is something that's actually going to stick. Now, if you've watched me here on YouTube before, then welcome back. But if you are new to my channel, then welcome. I am Dr. Kim Foster, and I'm an MD turned coach, wellness expert, and entrepreneur. I was a family doctor for 20 years before leaving the healthcare system to focus entirely on my wellness business, and I am also the founder of the Wellness Coach Academy, where I train aspiring health and wellness coaches and help them to build their businesses. So here on YouTube, I share tons of tips to help you master the art of living well, and if that sounds good to you, then be sure to subscribe because I upload new videos every week. The other thing that I would love for you to do is to download the brand new guide that I just put together on morning routines. It's called the Ultimate Morning Routine Menu, and it's a collection of all the activities that you might want to incorporate in your morning routine. And the idea is that you get to pick and choose the specific activities from the menu that are going to work best for you when it comes to setting the tone for your day, nobody else's. And this is a menu of items to choose from so that you can, mix and match and really craft your own perfect routine. And it's free to download that PDF. Just go ahead and use the link in the description box. Now, let's get back to talking about motivation. So first of all, what is motivation? Well, motivation is the driving force behind somebody's actions. It's what gives us the energy and the direction that we need to pursue our goals and aspirations. But basically, it's a feeling. You can feel motivated to do something, or you can feel not very motivated. And the question is, can you control your feelings? Can you increase the feelings and the emotions that you want to have more of, like motivation? Or are feelings something that you really can't control? They just happen to you and there's just nothing that you can really do about them. Well, I want to make the case that feelings are absolutely something that you can control and influence, including the feeling of motivation, but maybe not in the way that you think. So it starts by examining what creates the feeling of motivation. Like, where does it even come from? The truth is, the feeling of motivation can be created by just a whole variety of factors, and I'm going to list 5 of them for you. So first of all, motivation can arise from having a personal goal. So when you have a clear vision of what you want to achieve and why, it can really create a strong sense of motivation to take action and to work towards that goal. However, for most of us, this kind of motivation that comes from our heads, just from wanting something, that often doesn't last long. It's like the honeymoon phase of motivation. And we are going to talk more about that in just a bit. But number 2 is that motivation can also be triggered by positive reinforcement. In other words, results. When something good happens as a result of your actions, that creates a sense of satisfaction and increases your motivation to keep going and to keep doing whatever it is that you did to get that satisfying positive reinforcement. Motivation can also be triggered by negative reinforcement, and that's number 3. If you have a fear of something really bad happening or a negative consequence, especially if that consequence feels really real for you or you've actually experienced it, then that can create a strong motivation to avoid that consequence. Number 4, the feeling of motivation can also be increased through support and encouragement from other people. We are social creatures after all, and when we get support from the people around us, that can provide a boost of motivation. We all tend to feel more confident and capable when we know that other people are rooting for us and supporting us through something. But I think that the most important thing that can create or influence motivation is our own thoughts and beliefs, and that's number 5. In fact, with all of the previous factors that I just mentioned, the feeling of motivation doesn't really come from those specific situations, but it actually comes from the thoughts and the beliefs that we have about those circumstances. That's what creates that feeling of motivation. So take the social encouragement one. What is it that happens when somebody sees us go to the gym and says, "Way to go, keep it up," and they're smiling, they're encouraging and supporting us? How does that actually translate into motivation? Well, it creates a thought inside your head. That thought might be, I'm valued. I'm doing something that's worthy in the eyes of another person. And maybe this is somebody that I care about. And that means that if I keep doing it, I'll keep having this value and worth in their eyes. And I like that. That feels good. I am going to keep doing it. Now, just to be clear, that thought that you're having, whatever it is, you're probably not consciously aware of it. And you're not thinking of it in those explicit terms, and it happens in a millisecond. But that's absolutely what has triggered that positive feeling, those good vibes. And that's what gives you that boost of motivation to do that same activity again. Now, it gets even more interesting when you realize that this particular thought of I'm valued in this example is not going to be universally experienced by everyone. Some people might have a different thought when they receive social encouragement from the exact same person. So let's say that they don't actually value the opinion of that particular person, or maybe they don't even really like them. So they're not going to have the same thought, and it won't have the same effect on their motivation. What this means is that it's possible for you to have a different thought in response to something, and different thoughts will result in different feelings. So when I said that you have the power to control and influence your feelings, the way that you do that is to change the thoughts and the beliefs that you're having about something. It's very difficult to change your feelings once they're there, but your thoughts are optional, and they are much easier to consciously change than your feelings are. And that is where all the juicy work happens. So this is actually a much bigger topic that I would absolutely love to make some future videos about, diving into the concept of choosing your thoughts so that you can influence your behavior and change your life, basically mindset work. And if you're interested in learning more about all of that, then just let me know in the comments below this video. But for now, I just want to get back to talking about motivation specifically, and the particular problem with motivation and why it causes us such trouble. Because the main problem with motivation is that it's usually very high in the beginning of any new venture, and then it very quickly lags, as I mentioned before. But why is that? It's because all those factors that influence our motivation are nice and high in the beginning, and then they tend to dwindle. So you'll get some motivation from a thought in your head that says, yes, I am finally going to do this. And maybe you'll get some encouragement if you let people know that you are, doing this thing. And that makes you believe that you can actually do it. So you're having lots of empowering thoughts and beliefs about your ability to do this. Yes, you tell yourself, I am finally doing this. I'm inspired and I can do this. I believe in myself, and other people believe in me too. But then as you start taking some action, all kinds of things can happen that mess with those empowering thoughts. So a biggie is that you don't get any results right away, because as we all know, you're not going to go to the gym one time and suddenly have a six-pack. You have to keep going back over and over and over. And then weeks later, you might start seeing those first few signs of a six-pack. But in the meantime, you start getting in your head about it. this isn't really working is something that you might think. Or, am I wasting my time? I think I'm kind of wasting my time here. This is pointless. I kind of hate the smell of the gym. Is this really even worth it? Is it even possible for me to do this? Or am I just going to quit like I always do? If I'm honest, I'm probably not going to stick with it in the long run. So what's the point of even going today? Or who do you think you are anyway? Chris Hemsworth, you're never going to have that kind of body. So you might as well just give up now and save yourself all of that wasted time and effort. And who would feel motivated with that kind of narrative running in their head all the time? So your motivation tanks. And again, you are probably not consciously aware of those thoughts and those limiting beliefs. They happen in the blink of an eye, and they are immediately followed up by the feeling of hopelessness and discouragement. And that is what you do become aware of, that feeling of, I don't really want to do this anymore. Now, your thoughts may be quite different from those thoughts that I just kind of like made up off the top of my head. But whatever your particular thoughts are, they are absolutely going to affect your feelings and whether you actually do the thing or not. However, if somehow you can stick with it and keep taking action through that first phase, then we start to see the first couple of results. If we're talking about making health or wellness changes, there's almost always going to be a delay in those results. But when we do experience those results, like maybe we're sleeping better, or we have a bit more energy, or somebody gives us a compliment on our appearance, and that feels really good. And that gives us that boost to our motivation meter, and that changes the internal narrative in our heads. We start thinking things like, this seems to be working. Maybe I can do this after all. And so that gives us that inner, deeper feeling of motivation and really keeps us going. So the next question is, how do we get through that danger zone where that initial high has worn off, but before the deeper motivation that comes from seeing results actually kicks in? Well, I like to talk about creating bridge motivation. Just like we need bridge financing sometimes if we have, a short-term need for a cash injection to make an investment or something, bridge motivation is similar. It's just to get us over that danger zone or the valley where your motivation has dipped, but before you actually start to see and feel results. So how do we create this bridge motivation? Well, it has to do with becoming aware of those thoughts that we're having at the time, and then choosing the thoughts that you want to have during that time to really get you through to the promised land of the results that will give you more inherent motivation. So if you identify that you're having a thought of, this isn't working, this isn't making a difference, then it might be a matter of consciously replacing that thought with something that is much more empowering, such as, this isn't making a difference yet. Sometimes just that one little word can be all the difference in the world. It's a signal to your mind. Don't expect changes at this stage. We're just not there yet. Another strategy that might help is to focus on the immediate results and the immediate rewards versus only focusing on your long-term outcomes. So say you want to stop eating takeout so that you can lose 10 pounds. Let's say that is your goal. And it's hard because you're having to cook more at home. It's just not something that you have done a lot in the past, so you don't really feel like you're a great cook and so on. And the reward of those 10 pounds lost, they're a long way away. So you might get started, but pretty soon start thinking, what's the point? It's just so much easier to just order takeout. But I want you to try to focus on the immediate reward of what happens when you make just one meal at home instead of ordering takeout. So how does that feel, and what are you thinking about it? So instead of thinking, oh, this is so time consuming and it's just not going to make a difference anyway, try thinking something like, I'm learning a new skill, and that actually feels pretty good. I'm still not very good at cooking yet, but I'm a little better than I was before, and that's a good thing. Or make it a more pleasurable experience so that it becomes more inherently rewarding. So choose a playlist for cooking to, and try to have a nice, clean kitchen to work in, and really immerse yourself in the pleasure of it. For me, cooking dinner is actually an act of self-care. almost as good as having a nice long soak in the tub because it's creative and relaxing, and my family mostly leaves me alone in the kitchen. So I listen to music or a podcast, and at the end, I feel really great about producing something for me and my family that tastes good and that supports our health. So if that's your approach, then choose the thoughts that support that and give you motivation. Say to yourself, cooking dinner is one way that I relax at the end of the day. Or cooking dinner is a fun and a creative outlet for me. Again, you get to decide what works for you given your particular situation and the kinds of things that feel rewarding for you. And if you can find that bridge motivation that gives you that oomph in the moment without waiting for the delayed rewards of your longer term goals, then before you know it, you will be at your long-term goal. It will have happened. So remember that despite your best efforts, motivation can absolutely ebb and flow. It's really important to be patient with yourself. There are definitely things to do to